I think that we have to take a chance and open up our hearts and our minds so that people can help us. Because if we get that help, we're going to be able to help others. But as long as we push away or close our hearts and minds from people, we're never going to get the power and the love and the spirituality that we need. See, we can't give unless somebody, we can't help other people unless we're willing to be helped and to be open to that. And so that's really, I think that's the most difficult for ourselves, to say that we need help and to be able to call, I'm sending you an SOS. It's a message in a bottle, like Sting sings. I just wanted to reach somebody, and then I say, yeah, here's what, I'm not as strong as I thought I was, but with you I'm going to be stronger. I think that's the message. Help me so that I can help others.
Wake up, America, the enemy's already here. Do you think that God called you for this activist work you've done all your life? Do you feel that you had no choice? I mean, you had a choice, but since you wanted to maybe be in God's will, you felt obliged to God to be an activist.
Well, I had a real spiritual moment, because at the time that I went to work for the union, I was working for a legal program. I was getting a good salary. And these women went on strike. And so, they were looking for somebody to go tell them what their rights were, and they were in this town, Center, Colorado. And I said, well, I'll go. But driving down there was about 240 miles, and I had a GTO sport car, and I'm selling drugs, and I got guns and all that stuff on the side, and I go, why am I going to this little town, I left little towns. I don't want to, but I say, I'll go tell these women. And so imagine there's this, what they call the White House, which is this community center in Center, Colorado, 250 farm workers, mostly women, and a strike committee made up of women. So they come in, and I'm the expert from legal services. I'm the guy from the big city, and I drive up in my blue 68 GTO. I get out of it, and I have a hat like I normally wear. I walk in there, and I basically tell these strikers they have no rights because it's a right-to-work state. And I said, you really should go back to work, and I'll teach you how to become a good union member and how to organize a real strike. And the head of the women, Orlinda Vargas, she said, well, let us caucus a little bit and talk, and we'll come back. So everybody's waiting about 20 minutes. Women go into the leadership, go into this back room. They come out to the whole audience, and they said, Mr. Avila, we really appreciate you coming all the way from Boulder to tell us what rights we don't have and how difficult the road will be ahead. And we think you're a very smart man, but we've decided to stay on strike. And if you're as smart as you say you are, you'll stay here and help us for 2 weeks, and then you can go home. And that was my first spiritual moment, because I said, you women are crazy. And I said, no, there's something going on here that I don't understand, and I should be here. So 2 weeks ended up being 4 years. Mm-hmm. And when I joined the United Farm Workers, we became part of the union. Is that they paid us the grand salary of $5 a week and $10 for food for 4 years. And we had a lot of things. I suffered a lot. I ended up giving up my girlfriend. I gave up a house I was going to buy. I gave up my salary, and had to sell my Harley Davidson 51 chopper with a rake, a good rake, great bike. And it's like, and I had to stop my violence, and I had to give up my drugs. And it was just like a radical change. But I said, I came to this place, and you know what it's like? It's like, you've been in this room, and you got comfortable with the room, no matter what the limitations were, but you get comfortable. And prisoners talk to me about that. They get comfortable in their little space, and they know where the walls are, and you know what the routine is. Then all of a sudden, when I met these women and joined the strike, it was like, the Wizard of Oz, when they pull the curtain back and you really see what's going on? It was like somebody opened these big doors, like these 30-foot doors, like in a big warehouse. And what I saw out there was, I saw for the first time that I could become something more and do more than I had ever imagined, but that I would have to earn everything that I was going to get. Nothing was going to be given to me. And I couldn't just talk my way in and out of things, but I would have to work, and I would have to be with the people and be poor. I came out of poverty. I went to the university to get out of poverty. And then I go back into poverty to do things. And in my life, I've had a bunch of occasions where I went back into poverty to be able to reach people and to do things. And
I guess we talked this afternoon. I've been in rehabilitation for 30 years, more. And most white Americans, young people, they have no gratitude. I'd rather work with poor, indigenous people, young people, because they are grateful for what you're trying to give them, what love you're trying to give them, hope you're trying to give them. But Americans, unfortunately, they're diseased with materialism. They're just diseased. The great American dream has become the great American nightmare. And it's very difficult to rehabilitate suburban young people. Very difficult, because they're spoiled brats. They have no gratitude.
well, I think when you're given too much, and I've even found it in some of my own relatives who don't know how their parents suffered, where they came from, what they did. They assumed that you were always going to have milk and eggs on the table, right? That you were going to have, you never had to suffer, you never had to do without. And even kids whose parents suffered a lot. And I've suffered, but not like my parents did. And I never understood it until I went back and got into struggles defending poor people. Because I could have left, And if I'd have been on my trajectory that was interrupted by Martin Luther King's death and that hadn't happened, I would be a lawyer making good money and probably wouldn't be doing all the social things that I had. But some spiritual intervention got me on a different track. And so when you talk to people, like I've run into, I'll give you one example. A friend of mine, he and his wife are top, well, in particular, the husband is an internationally known human rights lawyer. His wife worked for a big company, both good lawyers, both make good money and have 2 kids. So their son, who was 18, was getting into drugs and being a white gangbanger. And so I was working in Micronesia. And so he came to visit me during the summer, and then he said, "Can I go to school over there with Magdaleno?" And I said, "Well, if you come, you got to go by my rules." So he came, and he was in for a shock. Because, first time we're having a disagreement, he starts calling me names and swearing at me. I said, gang members never did that to me, and you're not going to do it. So if you don't like it here, you can go home to LA tomorrow. I'll get you the plane ticket. But you're going to be by my rules. And because his dad was paying for all his room and board, basically. And so one day I told him, well, you have to clean up your room, you have to take out the trash and do stuff around the yard. He says, "But my dad's paying you." And I said, "But he's not paying me to treat you like a king." I said, "You be family. Family has responsibilities, so we do that." And then what I started doing, which his parents never did because they were always busy, I'd go see when he was going to read his poems in class, just so he would know that I cared about him. And so before I know it, he was doing good grades in junior college, having a blast, having a normal life. And he was with me for 2 years and finished junior college there in Micronesia. And he got good grades. And so one day we're at my house and we're sitting down for dinner. I have to say I had a great cook from Paraguay. I think she could cook dirt and it would taste good, because she made me eat vegetarian food that I never would thought I'd eat, but she cooked it so good. So we're sitting down and I said, you got to tell me what you like and don't like about living with me. He says, well, I think you're too bossy and you think you know too much. I said, what else? He says, well, you make me do things I don't like to do. I said, okay, is there anything that you like? He says, you know what I really like? I go, what is it? He says, I like that we eat together. That we eat together and we talk. He says, I never did that with my parents. They were busy working. They'd leave me money so that I could go to McDonald's or any fast food place that I wanted. He said, but here, the food is homemade. We eat together, we talk. I know when I come home, in between that there's great leftovers in the icebox, and I can microwave them. He says, I never had that. He says, so I really like the thought. And there's a whole thing about when you're sharing a meal together, it's a very intimate moment that I forgot, but he reminded me how intimate that was. So the kid comes back to the parents, not totally cured, because I didn't take all the scars or all the difficulties of him. But he goes in LA to Loyola Marymount, and he graduates cum laude. Who in the fudge would have believed it? But it's a kid who had everything, and just he's one of these suburban kids. But I took him out of his environment, and I gave him respect, I gave him love, I gave him a place, and I treated him the way I would treat any children. And kids, whether they're your biological kids or you adopt them or you take them into your house, I became his father, and I got to perform his wedding, which is a great deal. And now I have to go see him because his mother's been fighting cancer for a long time, and she's really connected with him, both of his parents. But they know, and they've told me time and again, the difference that you make. And it's not like a magic. It happens every day. And I can see it in this community. You have a lot of people that are still healing. And it's not a criticism or an analysis, because I'm still healing. I'm in a process. I've not dealt with all my demons. I'm not violent. I treat people well, but I fall off the wagon sometimes, I have thoughts that, I have to control. So somebody asked me, they're doing a documentary about my friend, Sister Helen Prejean, who wrote the book Dead Man Walking that was made with the movie with Susan Sarandon. And they were interviewing friends of Sister Helen's. And they asked me the question that it's always easy to answer. What would you do if somebody murdered somebody you loved? And, I would normally say, well, I don't want these people to be harmed. I'd ask for their forgiveness, and I would ask that they not be executed or harmed, in any way, no matter what they did to my loved one. And during that interview, I don't know what happened, but I really imagined the closest person to me being killed by somebody who's crazy, who didn't understand what good people they were. And I couldn't answer the question. I said, I don't know what I do, I'm a weak man. I can't promise you. I says, I would need some help. And I'm feeling the same emotion right now. I say, I need a society to help me from the weakness that is in me. I need to society has to protect me from myself. I can't say that I'm going to be strong all of the time. You can't be strong. We're human. That's why you have to surround yourself with a family and a society that you create so that at your weakest moment, they can hold you up and hold you tight. Because I've been violent. And I would need protection. And I would need love. You know, it's not easy when terrible things happen to you or you do terrible things. It's a heavy weight. So I just said that you understand the road that a lot of people travel, and that all of us have strengths we give to each other. None of us is perfect. None of what we're going to do is perfect in life. But if you know enough people that will stand with you, that will protect you, then you have a chance, right?
Yes.
And that's all you ask, is you ask of your circle, of your family, your friends, your society. You said, be with me, stand with me, because I may not always be strong. And then when they're weak, in their moment of weakness, in their moment of difficulty, then we have to stand with them. You see, I think that's what some people don't understand. They think it's just that you have healers and people that save people out of the raging waters and storms, but they don't know that we have to do it for each other. We're all connected. If you get connected with somebody, Gabriel, if you need me, I need to help you. If I need help, you got to help me, you know. It's not that I'm just going to be going for you to help. You got to know that I'm going to be there for you. And that's that's the strength that some people don't understand in communities. I think one of the things that we have to learn is that that we can be weak, that we can open up. And I think that's where, when you understand that, when you have the freedom to let go, is when the Spirit really comes to you.
Wake up, America.